Salve discipuli, hello 7th grade, and welcome back to Latin. I hope you guys had a wonderful break, a nice little holiday, and are ready to jump back into things. We're going to take it fairly easy this week. We're going to be introducing ourselves to the stage 4 vocabulary, so jumping into stage 4, and then you guys are going to be translating the model sentences from this chapter. So first, though, we need to learn some new vocabulary. So I'm just going to run through the vocab with you guys real quick just to practice some pronunciation, give you guys a couple of hints about how to remember things, stuff like that. So let's jump into this. All right, so stage 4. In this chapter, we are going to be learning some new verb endings. We're going to be introduced to the first and second person, and I will tell you guys all about what that means next week. But just keep in mind, when you're looking at your model sentences for this chapter, you're going to be seeing some new verb endings, and this is going to be for showing whether I am doing a verb or you are doing a verb versus he, she, or it. So up to this point, we've all been saying, right, Caecilius is in the office. Caecilius has money. Grumio cooks in the kitchen, things like that. So now we're going to be learning how to say things like I am cooking in the kitchen and stuff like that. So keep that in mind. We're going to be learning some new verb forms as we go. In your model sentences, you'll be saying that, but this is the vocabulary that will at least help you get a better understanding of some of the meanings of these. So our first word we have is annulus. Annulus, annuli, masculine. This is a masculine word. This is our Latin word for a ring. This is going to come into play in this chapter. There's with another noun that we're going to see in a minute. So annulus, annuli, this is masculine, this is our word for ring. Part of your assignment is to study this vocabulary and fill in your study log. I will I'll have a Quizlet up probably later today. Today's Monday, so I'll have a Quizlet up later today so you can use that to study if you want. Iudex, right? This I is that consonantal I here. It's pronounced with the y sound. So iudex, iudicis, this is masculine. This is our Latin word for a judge. This is related to our word like judicial. So this consonantal I becomes a J in English. So iudicis, this is where we get words like judicial and things like that. So judge, this is our Latin word for a judge. Mendax, mendax, mendacis, this is another masculine word. This is our word for a liar. So this is a noun that it's kind of a weird word because we use it more adjectively in English, but saying like you are a liar, but it does function as a noun. So liar, this is a liar. Pecunia, right? Pecunia, pecuniae, feminine, another for our first feminine word of this chapter. This is our word for money. So we've got monies, rings, judges, liars. What's going to happen in this chapter? All right, next we have poeta, poetae, masculine. This is one of those words I told you guys about where you have a word that ends in an A, which is usually a feminine ending. But because a poet, that was a profession back then that was mostly limited to men, this is a masculine word. It is where we get the word poet from. So this is an easy one. Trickiest part is just remembering that it is masculine. And I think we might have seen this word before, but now we are officially learning it. All right, next we have signum, signum, signi. This is neuter. We haven't gotten a lot of neuter words. This is a neuter noun. This is our Latin word for, it can mean sign or signal. In this chapter, it's going to mean more of a seal. So a seal in the sense of like there would have been something along these lines where like they would put it into wax. On letters, you see that from like movies and things where they have melted wax and you put the seal in the wax so you know who it's from. So in the story we're going to be seeing in this chapter, I think it's Caecilius has a ring that has his family seal on it, and so that's how he knows it's his. So that's kind of more what this is referring to. But this is related to our words for sign and signal, which we can see right there. But just in this chapter, it's going to refer more to a seal in this sense, not the animal seal. All right, on to some verbs. We have our verb ago, agere, egi, actus. So we're mainly, we may have seen this in one of our chapters already as like one of the glossed words from one of the passages. But this is our verb that means to do, to act, or to make. And I think we've seen this, negotium agit, meaning he does business. So negotium being our word for business. So this is another way of saying like he's working. He does business in that sense. So you'll see this word often more kind of like colloquially in the sense where it's like with another word uh, meaning something like that. So he does business or like he works, he is working in that sense. Coquo, coquere, coxi, coctus. This is related to our noun coquus, right? Grumio est coquus. Grumio is a cook or a chef. So this is just the verb form of that. This is our verb that means to cook. So coquo is our verb to cook. Habeo, habere, habui, habitus. Habeo, this is our verb that means to have. There's a lot of the words for this chapter that I don't have pictures for because I just couldn't really find anything that was a good representation. So habeo means to have. B's often change to V's linguistically in language changes. So if you take off that O there and change the B to a V like language does and see that to have. This means to have or to hold. So in that sense. Inquit. This is a verb that we only ever see in this form. So that's kind of nice. We don't have to worry about any other endings or any other forms for this one. So inquit is a nice verb. This just means he or she says, right? He or she says. So I think up to this point, we mostly had people klamat, like shouting and things like that. So inquit, he says, he or she says. And this is kind of a weird one. Quairo, quairere, quaisiwi, quaisitus. This word means to search for or to look for. And this is one that a lot of people have trouble remembering. What helps me, and I need to double check if the etymology actually is correct with this, but I always think of the word, it's what always helped me remember this word is I think of the word like to inquire after something. So if you're inquiring about something, you're looking for something, you're looking for an answer to something in that sense. So that's always helped me remember it. Maybe it'll help you, maybe not. This might just be one that you have to memorize. So quairo, to look for, to search for. Redo, reddere, redidi, redditus. This means to give back. Our verb do dare in Latin means to give, and then this prefix re means again. So this is to like give again, literally, in Latin, combining those two words. So to give back or to return is what this word means, to give back or to return. Woko, wokare, wokawi, wokatus. This verb means to call. Now, obviously in ancient Rome, they did not have cell phones or telephones of any kind, so it doesn't mean to call in that sense. It means more to call for someone. So to call, like, oh, I call mother over here into the room or something like that. Caecilius called Grumio. In that sense, meaning like you're in hearing distance from someone and you're calling to them. We get words like vocalize or vocal from this. It's related to this. All right, on to some adjectives and other types of words. We have perterritus, perterrita, perterritum. So I think we've seen territus before, meaning scared or frightened. Perterritus means terrified, literally scared through, in the sense that you're completely terrified throughout your whole body. So terrified, perterritus. And then we have a question word, kur. This is where we get to the point where we've got no pictures, so I apologize for the boring slides, but kur is a question word. This means why. Or X, I think we've seen this a couple times in our stories. This is a preposition, and this preposition takes the ablative case, which we haven't officially learned yet, but we have seen a few other prepositions taking this case. This has two forms because it'll be A, just this long E, if it's coming before a word that starts with a consonant, and it'll be X if it comes before a word starting with a vowel. So this means out of or from. It's related to our word exit. So, for example, if you were saying, right, Caecilius walks out of the atrium, it would be Caecilius ex atrio ambulat, right? But if he was Caecilius walks out of the office, right, tablino, it would be Caecilius e tablino ambulat. Right, so it'd be a tablino before a word that starts with a consonant and ex atrio before a word with a vowel. So that's all. They're both the same thing. They both mean out of or from. Ego. Okay, this is a pronoun, and this is going to be a very important pronoun for this chapter. Now, we don't actually use pronouns a lot in Latin because a lot of the time they're not necessary because verb endings sort of take the place of these pronouns. But we're going to use this a lot in this chapter as we get you used to seeing some new verb forms. So ego is the pronoun that means I. So in Latin, if you're saying I do something, you can have this pronoun ego before your verb. Now, we don't need ego because the ending of the verb will actually tell us that I'm the one doing it. So we'll learn about that next week. But sometimes the pronoun is there for emphasis, and it will be there in this chapter as we're easing you guys into some new verb forms. So ego is our pronoun meaning I am doing the verb. So we're learning about I doing things next. All right, this is a fun one. Ehu. I think we've technically seen this in a passage before. Do not confuse this with euge. Euge means like huzzah. Ehu means like alas or oh no in that sense. And you'll have to do it with like ehu, like dramatic, like so. All right, another question word. We have quis. We've seen quid before. Quid means what. Quis is going to mean who. So this is going to be used, I believe, in asking like, who are you? In that sort of a sense. So quis means who. Quid is what. Don't confuse those two. It's very easy to do. All right, and then satis. Satis means enough. This is related to our word like satisfied. If you are satisfied, it means you've had enough of something. In that sense, like you're full. So like if you're satisfied with a meal, oh, it's enough. You can also, I think, use it in a more negative connotation as well. All right, we've got another conjunction here. So we've seen et meaning and. Sed is our conjunction that means but. Right, sed is but. And then last but not least, we have another pronoun. This is the opposite of ego. Ego means I, tu means you. So like ego, tu is not used that often in actual Latin because the verb ending will actually tell us that you are the one doing the verb. But for this chapter, as we are introducing you guys to that, you will be seeing this pronoun tu as sort of your identifier that this is going to be you doing something. So tu means you. All right. So especially for the ego and the tu, make sure you know those ones because they're going to help you a lot with your model sentences. So your assignments for this week are to study this vocabulary, study like 5 to 10 minutes a day. I will have a Quizlet up on Google Classroom for you guys, so you can use that. You can make your own flashcards. You can just study the words, whatever works best for you, but study this vocabulary so that you've got it down and are ready to jump into things next week. And then also make sure that you check out those model sentences and you translate those on Google Classroom. Please do type in your translations on Google Classroom. That way I can correct them on there and provide notes and things like that. It just makes it a little bit easier for me for grading purposes. So if you have any questions, please email me, let me know. Practice saying these words out loud, getting used to the pronunciation. Take notes. I have the word list on Google Classroom, but it is always a good idea to write the words down in your Latin notebooks so you have them when we're working in class, okay? Otherwise, I will hopefully see you all in the Zoom meeting this week. Otherwise, I will see you in person next week. Volete discipuli.